Do you have a Creality Falcon 2? Well, I'm going to show you what I believe is the must-have add-on for this laser. I'll go over what I believe the flaw is and how to fix it. If you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks on how to make it more reliable and stable. So let's get started and head over to the laser. So here I am standing in front of the Creality Falcon 2. This model is the 22 watt version, but this will also work with the 12 watt, the 22 watt, and the 40 watt, from what I understand. So for the sake of this demo, we're going to pretend that we're burning a coaster. And a coaster is typically 4x4. That's the coasters I typically use. And for that, we're going to use this piece of cardboard to represent the coaster. And I'm going to put it on the bed. Now, some of the steps I'm going to go is kind of self-explanatory. But for those of you who have this for the first time, and this may be one of the first videos you're watching, I'm going to go through all the steps that I would typically do to a laser engrave a coaster, so that maybe you could pick up a tip or a trick along the way. So I got the coaster on the bed. What I'm going to do now is go over to Lightburn, and what I do is I create a box and I make the dimensions of the box the same size of the piece that I'm working on. And in this case, the box is 4 inches by 4 inches. So I'm 1 inches, and then I select 4x4. Now the box is there. I don't want this box to engrave, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select T1 to assign it to a tool. And you can see now it says tool up here. And what that means is that this box will frame, but it will not engrave. But what that means for me is that anything I put in this box, as long as I put it within the diameter of this box, it will engrave on the coaster. If you look here over on the side, you're going to notice that I'm on current position and I got the job origin on the bottom left. And what that means is no matter where I position my laser on my work area, as long as I position the laser on the bottom left of the piece that I'm working on, then I know that that's where it's going to frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over to my laser and I'm going to frame this piece using the standard method, and I'll show you what I believe the problem lies. So now I'm back over at the laser, and you could put your piece anywhere you want on the bed. Because we're using current position and we set the origin to the bottom left, just as long as it's on the bed and we can move the laser to the bottom left of the piece, we should be good. So I'm going to place the piece here, and I'm going to slide my laser up and move it to that around about area. I know that the laser is back toward the back. I'm going to place it there, and then if I go back over to Lightburn, if you go to your move section, you have a button that's called fire, and next to the button there's a percentage, and the higher the percentage, the higher your laser is going to be. So you want to be careful here. Keep it low where it's not going to burn the piece and that you could just see the laser through the glass, but don't put it too high. So I'm going to hit fire. Mine was already activated, so I turn it off and then turn it back on again. And then if I come over to the laser, you can now see the laser is there. I'm going to try to position this in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so that's about where it should be on the bottom left-hand corner. Now, if I go back over to Lightburn and I go to Edit, Device Settings, in the device settings, there's 2 boxes you want to check. It's the Enable Laser Fire button, which is here, and then right below it, there's a laser on while framing. And what that's going to do is when you hit frame, it'll turn the laser on so you can see where it's framed. So let's go back. I'm going to click on frame. When I do this, you got to hurry up and go back to your piece to look at where the laser is in the glass to make sure it is framed. So I'm going to hit frame here, and I'm going to come back here, and you can see that it's framing. Okay, so it's got to be moved to the right a little bit because I didn't see the laser over there. So let's move it to the right, just to here. Okay, now I got to go back and frame it again. So I'm going to come back over here and hit frame, and then come back over. All right, it needs to be turned this way a little bit. See, it's off of this side, but up here on the top right, it needs to be turned. So I'm going to turn it a little bit and move it to a little bit to the left. And move it up and then frame it again. So I'm going to go back over here, click frame once more. And then come back over here. Okay, now it needs to be moved over to the right. Okay, but you kind of get the idea. So you're going back and forth. When you're working on a square item like this, it's not too bad. But when you're working on something that's not shaped any particular way, it's maybe a design that you worked on and you need to get a particular area, this can be a royal pain. I've gone as far as to even purchase one of these controllers, which is an 8-bit DO microcontroller. It's a little gaming controller, but this controller allows you to program the PC. So I can stand here rather than going back and forth, and I can press the button, and then I can frame and move the piece. I can't do it now because I'm holding the camera, but I can kind of move the piece and then just hit the button again and reframe it. So this was a big saver, but it still was a hassle to frame this. Now, that's not bad, but here's the problem really lies when you are working on a piece that's, say, down here, right? So you got the piece, it's a big board, takes up most of your board, and your bottom left origin is down here, and you're working on a section of the board that's down here. If I bring this laser down to where, now I'm showing you where my eyes are. I can't see the laser, so I can't tell where that point is. And if I come over here, I still can't see it. And if I come over here, I still can't see it. So this is where I believe the major problem lies. In the center, it's not too bad, but down here, it's terrible. So let's talk about a fix for this. So now let's talk about what I think is the most important add-on for this laser. So I've got my piece back on the board, and I'm just laying it down anywhere. So really, it's anywhere. Remember, we're still set to current position, and we still have the origin on the bottom left-hand side. So this time, I'm going to turn on the crosshairs. Now the crosshairs are on, and I'm going to go back over to Lightburn. And in Lightburn, I'm going to go back into the device settings. And this time I'm going to enable pointer offset. Now don't worry about the numbers for now. I'm going to explain what that means in a second. So I'm going to say okay here. So now if I go back over, I still have my 4x4 square. And if I go back over and I take my piece and I put it anywhere, and I take the crosshairs and I put the crosshairs directly on the square like that. Position my piece just like that. I am now done. That's all it took to, and I was being really precise there. So if I take my piece and I put it there, now if I come back over just to show you that I'm going to go ahead and put a circle in the center of the square. So I'm going to place a circle. Let's make this circle. No, we'll keep it just like that. So if I hold down my shift and I got to put down my folder, I'm going to hold down my shift and I'm going to click on the square to enable both of those. So hold on 1 second. Okay, so I have both the circle and the square. The circle was already highlighted. I held down the shift. I clicked on the square. I'm going to come up here to this little icon here, which is the center icon. And if I click on that, it's going to align all of the objects that were highlighted first vertically and horizontally. So when I click on that, there you go, now it's in the center. So because this is framed, this is not going to engrave, and this one is set to 1530 power, which is what it needs to engrave on cardboard. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and it will do a circle right in the center of this cardboard. So I'm going to hit start. Okay, there you go. So the circle is now directly in the center of this cardboard. So let's do a test. I'm going to place this cardboard again anywhere on my bed, and let's see how close we can get to the circle just by repositioning the laser. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move this laser. I moved the piece down here. Let's move this laser here. Okay, so I got this almost right. It might be just a little off. And now I got the laser on the bottom left-hand side using the crosshairs. I'm going to hit it again. I'm doing the same circle. And it was just a little off, but I mean, barely noticeable. I mean, that is so close. In fact, it actually cut through the cardboard because it hit the mark. So there you go. So that's the simpler way of doing it. It truly is, once you have this one here, it truly is a must-have. So let's talk about what I did to put this together. So on Creality's website, there is an article. It's called Lasers, Tips and Tricks, how to crosshair for laser engraver. And I'm assuming that it was supposed to be how to make a crosshair for a laser engraver. And in this article, they teach you how exactly to create the crosshair for your laser engraver. And kudos to these three people here for creating the article and the STL file for you to download. So in this article, they show you all the items that you need to build it. And they provide the STL for this file here. The problem is they don't provide any links other than the download for the STL. So finding the exact parts that are going to fit into that housing, I don't know that you'll be able to do that. So what I ended up doing was I went to Amazon and I purchased all of the items that are on this list. And then when I got them, I redesigned this STL. It's the same STL, it's just been revised to accommodate these parts that I ordered. And that STL is going to be down in the description as well. So now you'll have the new STL along with the links to all the items that I purchased. So once you have that done and you assemble that, real simple to assemble, what you want to do is you want to go back into Lightburn. And then in Lightburn, if you remember that section we went to earlier, it's under device settings. And in here, you'll see these two numbers, 41 millimeters and 43 millimeters. And those are the numbers. It's 41 millimeters on the X and minus 41 millimeters on the Y. And those are the numbers that you want to use if you build the exact one that I built. I'm going to show you a quick trick when it comes to putting this together. So let me take you back over to the laser. Okay, so in the crosshair modules, there's two screws. You unscrew the two screws that are on your laser. And these two screws you can unscrew using the Allen wrench that comes with the laser engraver. You take those out of the laser housing, and then you screw these two screws into the laser housing. Real simple. It's really the only assembly there is to this. And then you plug in the USB-C into the USB-C port on the top. There's no resetting or anything like that. There's nothing you have to do on the physical laser other than screwing this on to get this working. The on and off switch, I would say that's an optional item. Although if you're going to build it, I would just put it on there. I do like it because at night, sometimes this laser is so bright it can cause glare when I'm trying to look at the piece to see if everything is engraving correctly. So you can just simply turn it off to turn off the laser, and then when you're ready, just turn it back on again. The other thing I want to point out is this screw right here. This laser is such a tight fit that you really don't need to screw. I did add the screw just in case over time this STL starts to loosen up. I can screw it down and tighten it. I'm going to tell you this, that if you, let me grab one of the others. All right, I got one of the other ones here. So on this one, there's a screw. That's the screw I'm talking about. And if I turn it around, there's a nut right there. That nut is pushed into the plastic housing. Now it's such a tight fit that I ended up using a pair of pliers to just kind of push it in place. My point to this is when you screw this screw in, make sure that it doesn't protrude past that little nut, because if it does, then this is not going to sit on correct. So you really don't even need to screw, but if you're going to put it on, just make sure that you only put it on where it's just starting to tighten it down some more, and then don't force it any further. So that's my tip when it comes to that part. So I told you at the end of the video I would give you another tip and a trick to make this more easy to use and add stability. And here's those two tips. In the instructions, they tell you to build a box or make a box on Lightburn that is 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. And what you want to do is adjust your laser to that. So we're going to go ahead and do that part of the instructions, but I'm going to show you the tip that's going to save you a bunch of headaches. So if I come back over to Lightburn, and I'm going to adjust this box. It's 1 millimeter, so I'm going to adjust this box to 20 by 20. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the circle. Okay, so let's laser engrave this box. So I come over here and I move my crosshairs to where I want the box to begin. Let's do it down here in the bottom left. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to change this to from a frame to so it would actually burn. So let me select this box because it was still a framing box. And I will select this, and now I can hit start. And now it's going to come over here, it's going to burn the square that's 20 by 20. Now the laser is going to position itself back on the corner. Now your laser is going to be off and you need to adjust it. The instructions tell you to go in and change the X and the Y to accommodate the measurement from where this piece is to where the corner is. And they tell you to mark a little spot. Here's the easy thing. This laser here at the very bottom has some play in here. So I'm going to move mine so it's off. So let's do this. Now you can see that my laser does not fall on the corner of my piece. And they want you to make sure that that laser is exactly on the corner of this piece. Because this is a square and the laser has two lines, you can now just simply move the laser. Let me see if I could do this so you could see. Move the laser, turn it, and put it right where it needs to be. Exactly. So it's on that square. Kind of hard to do because I'm looking through the lens and the laser at the same time. So look at that. So get it? It can go down just a hair. Okay, so now I got it on the corner of this square. And from there, I'm done. I don't have to go back into Lightburn. I don't have to readjust anything. I could just come over here, and from now on, anytime I put a piece on that square, that dot right there is where it's going to start. Here's my other trick. If you want to make sure that you don't have to do this again, move your laser back, tilt the machine up, and put a small bead of hot glue right here where the laser has play. I'm going to show you on this piece. Right here, between these two gaps, because this laser has some play on it, just put a small bead of hot glue. Tilt the machine up. Don't touch the laser. Just put a small bead of hot glue on that section without touching the laser, and then this way you won't have to touch this again. No matter if you move the laser or not, that laser will always be pinpoint accurate. And then if you ever do decide you need to readjust your laser, you could simply peel off the hot glue and then readjust and put more hot glue on it. So that's my tip. So that's basically it. Any of the eagle eyes would notice that I do have extras, and that is because when I purchased everything from Amazon, they all came in more than one item. So I had to get 3 lasers or 4 lasers, and I had to get 8 on and off switches. And so to help you guys out, if anybody doesn't have maybe a 3D printer, or they don't want to go through the agony of soldering or just even putting this together, I have one kit that I put together. It's a do-it-yourself kit, and 3 additional modules, all ready built, and all you have to do is screw them onto your housing. It's a limited supply. It's the leftovers that I had from Amazon. So if you want one, I'm going to include a link to my Etsy shop. They're not going to last. As of the time of this email, there's only 3 of the fully assembled ones and 1 of the do-it-yourself kit. So jump on the Etsy if you want them. If there's a high demand, just reach out to me if there's none left, and I'll see if I can make you another one. But that's pretty much the video. I hope somebody find it helpful. I hope some of the tips that I showed in the light burn was something that maybe the new people didn't know. So hopefully this will help you out. If it doesn't, it was a good learning experience. But please like and enjoy. And any questions, leave a comment underneath the video and I'll try to answer them. With that, talk to you later.